Hello, Professor. This is Jonalyn Reyes. In this second presentation, I will discuss how I applied my knowledge of another 2 out of 6 general education competencies, which are critical thinking and oral communication. The first competency I'm going to discuss is critical thinking, in which, according to Professor's video lecture, is evaluating the author's views and points, analyzing the text's messages and arguments, and drawing your conclusion and creating your own assumptions of the text. For this competency, I'm going to use a paper I wrote from English course. The example essay in this slide is about a book titled The Bluest Eyes by Toni Morrison. This story covers racism and prejudice. In this essay, I try to analyze Morrison's view and different effect of racism towards African American during the time the book was written. My introduction reads: In the novel The Bluest Eye, Piccola was a character that became the universal victim. She was a little girl who depended on the world to see her own worth and value instead of believing in her own beauty. Piccola was surrounded by a hostile condition starting from her own home, her peers, and the community that made her want to be different. This short paragraph introduced the main character and her desires to be wanted just like any other light-skinned kids in her community. Adding to this introduction, I'm going to read my conclusion for this essay that would further establish my understanding of critical thinking competency. My conclusion reads: In this novel, Morrison showed that in reality no one is truly ugly, that each individual possesses a real beauty within. It is how each one defines beauty matters. Her role became important because she showed readers the real human life conditions and to show how sad that people rely on others to be able to see what we should see in ourselves. She was a delicate child that became lost and destroyed by others because of not having proper guidance in finding herself. As easy it explained that Piccola became insane because of her bad experiences, readers can also assume that in the end Piccola created a world outside from her reality, just like her mother did. To feel loved and cared. Her desire for blue eyes was not because she wanted to be superior, but because she wanted to be loved and accepted. In her imaginary world, she was always praised by her friend and gave her a sense of existence where she did not achieve in her real world. Her life became a reminder that no matter what era it is, human cruelty has the same effect on everyone. In this paragraph, I have analyzed Morrison's view of how racism and prejudice affects African American children and how often their living conditions are a product of society's stigma of being part of minority. The second competency I'm going to discuss is oral communication, in which, according to Professor's video lecture, is to create and communicate a compelling central message through public speaking. I would say out of 6 competencies, this was the one I thought would be the hardest to overcome because I do not like speaking in front of many people. I have taken Speech 110 last semester, and for our speech, the class are prompt to have a written outline of our speech subject and had to follow a guideline as shown in this slide. This outline is actually for a group speech. Each person in a group needed to discuss why marijuana needed to be legalized in the United States, and I decided to discuss its benefit in finding a cure for Alzheimer's. Our job is to convince the audience why marijuana needs to be legalized. For this, we were only allowed to have outline in front of us, and we were graded according to content of the message, how we cite our resources in our speech, and if our speech is composed accordingly, meaning if it consists of introduction, body, and conclusion. Along with this outline page, I also attach a separate page for the sources I have used in composing my speech argument. In conclusion, I have established my knowledge of critical thinking and oral communication through the papers I have written for English course and outline page for my speech class. I have shored and solidified my knowledge by analyzing the text and using proper guidelines provided by my professors in each course and citing my sources properly. Thank you for watching.